You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Hey guys, it's Charge and Hayner present Zoom the TBT. And tonight it's part of our underdogs coverage as the brackets start to get released and formed. We have Bryan Tracy of the Utah Valor, John Taylor of the Brooklyn Vultures. Gentlemen, what's going on?
Not too much. Hanging in there, Andrew. How you doing?
Every day is a holiday. John, how you rolling?
Just getting by, just as some of my players would say, touching keys and fiddling knobs out there.
That sounds rather interesting. Let's start with John real quick. So John, you just came back from the Vic Beasley tournament, the buy-in tournament. You guys made the concerted effort, which I really respect, by the way, as someone who's a TBT community member. You guys trying to get in the hard way. You fell a little short, obviously, but as a team of TBT experience, how did that experience sort of toughen up the Vultures for a potential 2021 run?
It made us see that this has got to be, you have to be totally committed, and you have to focus in for 32 plus minutes, depending on how long the ELAM ending takes, and you can't take a possession off. This is not shorter games. This is not the NBA, and it made me realize that you have to really have a roster that works in tandem, and you can't just pull this stuff off in a makeshift way. You have to really we learned the hard way that we didn't win this tournament. We also only brought 6 guys who are real ballers down there. When you need to be able to have subs and sub guys in, there are actually maximum 10 players allowed on the team, and you need to have a committed roster with enough guys so you can sub people in, and also you can't just pull this off makeshift. You have to practice. It's like if you're taking a math test, or studying for the SATs, you don't cram the Thursday or Friday night before a Saturday test. You have tutors. You study for this for a long time. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Absolutely. It is a marathon. I think people don't really know that because you guys both have TBT experience, and the recruitment of a team is something you really have to think about, not just the roster fit, but really how committed, how they work there. Now, Bryan, you have a slightly different tack. John was trying to get in the hard way, and now we're trying to discuss the Brooklyn Vultures' chances as an at-large. You guys have really leaned into the social media identity. You guys are one of the most active and kind of funny members of social media. You're good-naturedly picking as many fights as possible. How did you guys decide upon that as a strategy about trying to create content?
Oh, basically just want to get back because, we're blue collar roots and want to get back to that everyday basketball fan. You do have your alumni teams, your whole profile, but, we're underdogs. So we want to identify with the underdogs of America and get out there. And, sports are supposed to be fun. So, the more fun you can bring into it, the more fans love to see. And I've had a lot of comments from just everyday fans, not even basketball fans, but have grown with the Valor, taken to TBT just by, like you say, the social media aspect we put out there.
Well, yeah, because the teams that aren't necessarily the alumni team, because there aren't enough alumni teams to make a full alumni tournament. Plus, the other teams provide some much needed color and flavor. I mean, you guys are basically trying to graduate the level of like a Kimchi Express, where you're not an alumni team, but you have a real name. So obviously, there's a lot of challenges to recruiting for a team like that. I'm going to stay with Bryan 1 second because you actually pulled up some pretty good recruiting coups. How are you able to get former NBA players like Keith Ploss on board? How are you able to fill up the roster you've been able to fill up? It's a pretty good roster, to be honest with you. How are you able to recruit teams or players to play for a team that isn't an alumni base or isn't someone that has a natural pull?
I'll just go out, just be totally honest with them, that you can't, so to speak, BS anybody, your high profile players, they know. I mean, they've been around the block. So basically just tell them, lay it out there, our causes, what it means to me. And like I said, I had a lot of help from Marquise Marshall and Chris Jones, who's been with me for 3 years. Mm-hmm. We got Keith Kloss, and then just kind of filled out the roster, maybe people they've played, like Marquise, who played with Donovan Jack, who's played overseas and at Penn State. So a lot of our players are overseas players, and they've played with each other. So we do have a lot of good team chemistry. And then our last big recruit was Mamadou. That just bring him and Keith together. And then we've added Aaron Maxey, who's been a big force, with that Providence, really, really out there helping not only on the court, off the court, and pushing the social media.
Absolutely. So the same question for John, because you also have a team of sort of the New York, as a fellow New Yorker myself, obviously, I live in Brooklyn. Your team's the Vultures of Brooklyn. How has building on sort of a regional identity helped you recruit a team that you think can at least show out well in 2021?
Well, there used to be more Brooklyn, New York-based teams in the TBT, and that was harder for me to get players because when I used to recruit people, they said, "No, I'm playing for the Black Mambas. I'm playing for the Basketball City NYC team," which were other New York City teams. But now we're kind of the only game in town when it comes to New York City teams for TBT. So it's actually gotten a little easier for me now. But
Yeah, go ahead.
we are a lot of the players who I try to recruit just in the past haven't been good enough. And we're not here to just jump up and down and watch shake and be silly on the basketball court. We're here to win. And I realize that it's not good enough to just recruit the weaker players who just are there to have fun. But I have to get the real players like with NBA, maybe G League experience, who can really put forth a winning product on the basketball court. In 2017, I kind of put a team of friends together. We got our shrimp steamed in the Jamboree by a team called Reach One Teach One out in Philadelphia University.
Yeah.
And then 2018, we were supposed to have a really good team. I thought we could really make some noise, but some bad things happened. 3 of our guys, our best players, didn't show up. We had a good front line, but the guards were relatively weak compared to the front court players. We only had 5 guys, and that spelled doom for us in the first round. We were easy first round fodder for the Memphis team. What's
that
up?
team, the Memphis team,
the Memphis State Memphis alumni team.
So full disclosure, I actually saw John Taylor on the bench that game. So I was covering. That's the first TBT I covered in a while. I was actually in Richmond, and Will was the captain of the Memphis State alumni that year. And the Vultures put up a surprisingly pretty good fight for a lot of the game. Actually, I was kind of surprised. You guys showed out well for a while.
Yeah,
so
we
that was interesting.
3 in the third quarter, and then we just ran out of gas. We tried to make one last run, but Adonis Thomas, William Coleman, Doniel Mack hit some big threes against us that game, the lefty chicken wing. Yeah, I mean, I think we could have won that if we had had a full slew of guys, but that's iffy history is what they call that.
Yeah. Well, you learn from losing the tournament. Now, Bryan, your team's been in 2018. You guys played Fort Hood. Well, how does that experience of playing a veteran team like Fort Hood in previous tournaments help you recruit and also help you know what it takes to win in this event?
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, you get out there, you get the experience because, like I said, we were a little shorthanded, but, just taking in the whole TBT experience, the ESP, the big stage. And, I can still remember the night we lost, we just sat there on the bench, it's just like, we're going to be back. I told these guys, this story isn't, over with. So we've been pushing to get back. And I just think just the overall experience then playing a good team, like you say, in Fort Hood made us stronger. And then also having, being able to say, hey, we've been in TBT before. So that shows new recruits that, hey, these guys have been proven, they've been in the tournament. So it shows you a good foundation to start with.
Yeah, it always helps to have, because it's interesting. We were looking, and we're taping our bracketology tomorrow because we're taping this Monday night and we're releasing it Tuesday. So this will come out when the bids close, or the application process close, which you guys already both have your applications filled out, your team set. So you have full rosters. But it's interesting because recruiting for first year teams is difficult. You see teams that are announced to have a really deep roster, and then they don't show, they don't get in. Last year, the Volunteers had a really great roster. They didn't make the 24. Team Washington's an open question because of their big 3 ties. So I'll bring this question into John, because I guess Bryan had mentioned this. How does having TBT experience educate you in the recruiting process and the logistical process? How does the experience of having done it before give you a leg up over first year applicants that you're kind of competing with for those double-digit seeds to get in? What's the advantage of picking the Vultures over a different first year new team?
Well, we know what it takes. We've been here before, but I think Dan Friel and Josh Brown, Jake Pavorsky, and whoever the powers be at TBT kind of have a grudge against us because of how unreliable our players were in 2018. I think that's why we didn't make it in 2019 when we should have made it, instead of a Manhattan team that absolutely got eaten alive by, I was either Bayheim's Army or Armored Athlete, I forget which. That was 2019. I was really upset about that. because I
Yeah.
think we should have been in instead of the Manhattan team, because that would have been interesting. We Louis Lacrosse maybe going against Bayham's Army, Syracuse
Oh yeah.
cast off against Syracuse alums, and Kyle Koff, St. John versus Syracuse. He was on that roster too. I think we could have gotten in that. Last year was COVID. We would have been in for sure. I think last year we had the strongest team we've ever fielded with Will Raymond on that team. But that was just an act of God that stopped us from or active, I won't say it, maybe some government somewhere. I won't go in there. But that was just coronavirus that wouldn't let us play. And this year, I want to get in. I hope Dan Freer will have us, to be honest, but I'm not sure if he will, because I hope he does. I hope we get another chance. I hope we can bring a full slew of players. We've been vaccinated. Most of us have, certainly 75% of the team have. We're safe. We can get to West Virginia pretty easily. I'm not sure if we're going to take a train or take a plane there. But if we
So
get
I'm actually going to West Virginia. So Charge and I are covered from West Virginia. That's where we're going to go. We're going to West Virginia, Columbus. And the trains, by the way, it's a 13-hour ride, but you don't have to drive. So you can just sit on the train and like relax. So that's actually not a bad option.
Yeah, well, yeah, better than taking a taxi through a really awful traffic on a Friday afternoon through out of the Atlanta airport and then riding to some backwoods part of Georgia with bobcats and dangerous insects.
We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to the Vic Beasley thing, which I'm really curious about hearing about. But Bryan, so like, again, you guys have also been there before and you guys are applying to Wichita, correct?
Yes, correct.
So my question is a little bit different than you. So looking at the brackets right now, the Western regions, Wichita and Peoria, seem not to have the depth that West Virginia and Columbus have. Let's be clear, there's not a truly soft region of any of them. Look at them all very strongly. But the reality is that some of them are a little stronger than others. Do you think there's an advantage to apply to Wichita? And would you be willing to change regions that helped you get in?
Yeah, I mean, looking at, the way the brackets are shaking down, I think we stack up really well with every team in Wichita. And I honestly, 1 through 12, I don't, see any team. I mean, everybody gets on and says, oh, we can beat anybody. But I really believe 1 through 12, we'd cause a problem for everybody in that bracket due to our size, our experience, our chemistry.
You have a lot of size.
Yeah, I mean, there ain't a team that can match in TBT. I'm not going to lie. But yeah, I just think, just the teams, I try to break it down. I'm a perfectionist. So I break it down as far as, how we stack up. And I think we stack up well, but I'm willing, and everybody on our team, we're willing to go anytime, any place, anywhere. It doesn't matter which bracket to get in the tournament. We'll travel anywhere.
That's fair. John, same question to you. Are the Brooklyn Vultures able to move a region if it comes to it?
I'm not sure we can go to Wichita. That's just too far out. But I'd be amenable to go to Peoria, to West Virginia, and certainly to Columbus. Because
got it. So basically, you're open to at least 2 of the 4, maybe even 2.5.
3 of the 4. 3 of the 4 we can go to.
Yeah, Peoria's got cheap flights from New York. And Bryan, you'll just take whatever bid you're given and go kick some ass, right?
Exactly. Hey, we're out there to kick some ass. We'll go to any region and kick some ass, like you say.
Okay, so how are we going to kick the ass? Let's talk a little bit about style of play, because obviously, like, there's an advantage, and we talked about one of our last shows about being an alumni team or being a cause team, which we'll get to that in a minute, Bryan, about you guys having a cause versus just being sort of a different team, like a different constructed team, like John's Vultures. So, John, like, in a perfect world, how do the Vultures want to play? Like, again, sell the committee. Like, what kind of style of basketball are we going to get out of the Vultures? Like, how's your roster construction going to allow you to? You're going to play fast. You're going to play under control. You're going to press. You're going to play
like grit and grind, like your Memphis Grizzlies. Grit and grind. We have I compare Endoy to Marc Gasol, and I compare Adegoke to Zach Randolph. They're actually both left-handed, and even Adegoke even looks like Zach Randolph. And he's kind of plays like a hybrid between Zach Randolph and fellow left-hander Greg Monroe.
Okay, very cool. You mentioned a lot of bigs there. There.
We're gonna play slow. We're gonna grind them down, and we have pretty good guards. Our shooting is maybe a little lackluster, but if we can bring Kenny Satterfield on board, he's older, but he can certainly help us in that department. He can launch that from 40 feet, kind of like an older man, Stephen Curry, but he can launch that from deep. And we're gonna play a tough, hard-nosed brand of basketball that shows us that that we are raised on the hard, gritty courts of West 4th Street, Rucker Park, Dyckman Street. We're ready to do our thing out there and show the world the New York brand of basketball where point guards can post up, where it's guard dominant, is back and still alive more than ever.
It's interesting you mention that, because actually, this is actually a really good point, because the guy who lives in New York has for the better part of almost 2 decades now. In this event specifically, the city that's gotten the most city love, it's not even close, is Philadelphia, which they play a wonderful brand of hard-nosed Temple Nova basketball. But I would like to see a reemergence of the New York dominance to hoops. I think having the Vultures be there is something you guys could be playing for. Bryan, what do you guys think? I mean, you guys got a pretty good roster. Like, how do you want to play? You've got a lot of size, but I don't know if you want to play slow. How do you plan to get that size you have to play at a speed that allows you to get some cheap buckets as well?
Exactly. Well, we do have the size, which really helps, so we can, play slow down, ground it out, blue collar style. Plus we got the guards, we got Jordan Jackson, who's a high flyer, really high IQ. That's Cheryl Swoop's son. So, he knows basketball. Marquise Marshall, Danielle, these guys are high IQ basketball. They grew up on the game. So that really helps with the other players. But I feel we got a team that's smart. We can either ground and pound it, shoot threes, play tough defense. We're going to press. Anybody that knows me knows I'm blue collar. I mean, we can adjust any style, and we ain't going to play afraid. Too many times you watch where teams get in against maybe a better team or maybe the high alumni teams, and they're like starstruck. Hey, we ain't going in to be afraid of anybody. We're going to take it to anybody in this tournament. Like I say, we can pound it. We can, run and gun, whatever stuff, whatever the game dictates, we're going to try to dictate the tempo. But we're going to definitely be in your face and press and be a tough defensive team. Defense leads to transition. So,
yeah, defense gets you cheap buckets. Defense is day and night off. Even if your shooting goes down, if you can play D, you can always be. That's how Temple does it.
Always said, he says, hey, the shots might not fall every night, but everybody's defense is desire and heart. And we got that, you bring that, like you say, Andrew, every night, you're going to be in it. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So John, I guess what's interesting about you guys' position is, like, if you guys get in, and you guys both have credible teams, so there's a pretty good chance you both get in. I won't be, I'll be honest, I'm a little higher on the Valor, but you both have a chance. Obviously part of this is selling a narrative. So John, pick a fight. Call your shot. Who do you want? You're going to be around the 15, 16 line. Who do you want? Who do you want to play? Call it. Make a fight. Make it fun. Sell the fight.
Boeheim's Army. I want to see Boeheim's Army.
You want to see Boeheim's Army? Okay. Well, I'm hearing you might be in the wrong region, but would you be willing to move to play in Boeheim's Army?
They're in Wichita.
I don't know where they're not in Wichita.
Yeah,
I do know they're in Wichita. Yeah, Brian's like, they're not in Wichita.
Part of me wants to take down the champs and go against Golden Eagles. That would be great. That would be like a real upset. I mean, I just hear stories about Boeheim from one of my friends who I won't name, saying that he's not such a nice guy, and
Kevin.
No,
Kevin's a great guy. I know Kevin. Kevin's
delightful. No, not Kevin.
Oh, the actual Boeheim.
Yes, I've heard.
He's loud. I will say that. My girlfriend's a Cuse fan. He strikes me as a funny, decent curmudgeon, basically. Like somebody who's obviously a great coach and decent human being, but he yells with a certain level of someone who's used to yelling.
Oh, interesting. But I've heard stories. Just a second. Kevin Belby's a good guy. I know he's
a great guy. Great guy.
I just have heard stories from a friend who didn't get along with Boeheim at all. I won't name that friend, but maybe even idea who it is. But I will say that I wouldn't mind going. If we get if we have the privilege of getting into TPU, which would be awesome. I would like to see Boeheim's Army. Maybe not Overseas Elite, because that'll be a tough challenge for us. And certainly because they always bring these NBA players. I'm not sure they're even going to be in it this year. But I'd like to see Boeheim's Army, Golden Eagles, or even Carmen's Crew. I wouldn't mind seeing in the first round.
Those are all incredible things. Bryan, call your shot. Again, you're going to be 14 to 16 line if you get in, obviously. You're going to get in. You're going to face a higher seed. Anybody you want. Anybody you're requesting.
Oh, man, I'll take on the champs right off the bat if they're there, or the aftershocks. You name it, Carmen's Crew. hey, even overseas elite, you can't go in here. You got to go through everybody. So
That's correct.
we're willing to take on anybody. Like I say, that's what the Valor's about. We ain't afraid of anybody. We'll take on anybody. To be the champs right off the bat, we're ready to. Hey, the money team. We'll take on Floyd, and the money team. We're ready to rock. So.
Oh, I have opinions about the money team, which I'm going to keep to myself. So anyway,
That team's gonna fall apart. No, guys.
I'll go 3 rounds with Floyd Mayweather just to get in TBT.
Repeat what you just said. You'll do what to get in TBT?
Hey, I'll go 3 rounds with Floyd Mayweather if necessary. Hey, I'm willing to do anything and all to get in this tournament. So.
That's the promo clip.
I'm gonna raise my hand like it was back in math class. I'm gonna say one thing. I have a feeling that money team is gonna be like there was a team in the ATO Rise and Grind. I think it was in 2018. They had 4 NBA players on the roster. None of the guys showed up, and the team flopped in the first round. I think the money team is like all hype, and I'm not sure they're gonna actually have real players. And I think the team might just come with like 4 guys and the first people they're supposed to play against get a first round bye. I don't see that happening.
I will say that patron saint of the podcast, Ott Elmore, worked them last year, which is kind of hilarious because they lost to Herd that obvious, which no one saw coming. Bryan, obviously, talk a little bit about why teams. Could you describe a little bit what the Valor are playing for? Because you actually have a cause that you're playing for, which I really respect. Could you please get into that a little bit?
Exactly. Yeah. Our main causes is we're playing for diabetes, veterans, and now this year Crohn's disease. Because with me being diabetic, a few years ago, like I said, I had an A1C of 15. I was like knocking on the pearly gates. I was, I've seen the worst part of diabetes. So, I got better with it, started eating right, getting more educated. That's why I'm really glad with TBT. It allows me to get out there and speak and bring attention to how serious diabetes is. And with Crohn's disease, Aaron Maxey on our team, he has Crohn's disease. And he's battling that every day. So, and he is a spokesperson for the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. So it's very important to him to get out there and use TBT as a stage to bring awareness to that. So plus being a veteran, I like to honor all my fellow veterans, past, present. And
what branch, sir? What branches you serve?
U.S. Army, Desert Storm.
Okay,
yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you for your service. My father's a 20-year.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate the service. That's something I grew up on military bases my entire life. So it's something I definitely appreciate. I may look like the liberal New York jackass, but I grew up in the South in a lot of places where there's a lot of guns.
Yeah, like seeing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, so this has been a great thing. I really appreciate it, Bryan. I do want one more question for my final question, specifically for you. How do you get the idea for all these videos? These videos are ridiculous. This Pinata Farm stuff you put out, it's really funny.
Appreciate you guys enjoying it. Yeah, just kind of, like I said, just something funny for your every average fan, that just loves sports, basketball. And I've got to admit, I took a little bit of a dig at all the higher seeded teams, draw a little bit of attention.
Gotta sell the fight. Gotta sell the fight.
Just to have some fun with it. I know a couple of them got a little bit irked by, but hey, it's all good fun.
Everybody knows it's not personal. We're just having fun with all this stuff.
Yeah, like I said, hey, it's all about having fun and laughing at yourself and enjoying it, drawing a little bit of attention, and just having fun with TBT and basketball.
Absolutely. So we're going to close with one question. Guys, you guys have been great tonight. Thanks for coming on. John.
Yes, Andrew.
This is the pitch, man. Let's make the pitch. Make your pitch. 1 minute.
My elevator pitch for the Vultures. My elevator pitch for the Vultures candidacy for TBT 2021 is no basketball tournament that's supposed to be like a good sample of all the U.S. and now the world, the Cape Town Tigers and other teams has to offer is complete without some kind of a New York City representative team in there. And that's why the Vultures should be part of TBT 2021. Maybe they won't win the whole thing, but they'll certainly play their gritty kind of basketball and back down from no one.
Okay, that's a great pitch. I love it. Bryan, same question to you. Make your pitch. 1 minute, talk directly to the camera. Why does TBT need to accept the Utah Valor for one of those bids?
Well, I feel we bring a passion, basketball, great chemistry. All of us love basketball. We're seeking some redemption on all our own personal levels. But like I said, we represent the mountain region, Utah, the only team from Utah. And right now, Utah is a hotbed for basketball with the Jazz doing well. Like I say, and we bring that same blue collar attitude. And like from 1 to 12, I think we bring, like I say, I honestly believe we can win this whole tournament. That's just not from our roster and the guys on the team. Just, I get so excited about it. Like I say, having us in there, we're just blue collar. And like I said, this tournament, just like with the Vultures, you have your high alumni, but basketball is blue collar roots from America. And, the underdogs like us both deserve to be in here. And that's what every average fan, they turn it on and they might not identify with the alumni team. Not everybody went to college, so to speak, but they identify with the blue collar underdogs like the Vultures and the Valor. And I think we both should be in there to represent, every basketball fan in America out there that loves basketball from the grassroots.
That's awesome. And this has been an awesome show. Thanks for coming on. This has been our sort of highlight of some of our sort of senior underdogs. We're going to highlight a few more underdogs the rest of this week as we come close to the bids, because the teams aren't getting on their own. We need to get some of the bubble teams some love. So John Taylor, GM of the Brooklyn Vultures, Bryan Tracy, GM of the Utah Valor. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on Zoom the TBT.
All right. Appreciate it,
Thanks,
Andrew.
Thanks for having us, Andrew.
Go Valor. We're getting in this tournament.
Let's go Vultures. Scavenger prey. Have a good one. Thanks so much.
Right,
good night,
guys.
everyone.
Be safe.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hainer. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.